So indigo. Indigo is a color. From what I know, bluish purple. There is a plant called a pea plant that is indigo. Indigo is also a name of a name of people. This title was given for people who have certain traits. They're able to see the BS in what the norms of society is. They were also known to reincarnate on elsewhere because, as you can see, their personality is really outlandish, and there might be people that they can conform to, but it's normally people like us are people that are not too indifferent, and if they are indifferent, they're indifferent in a way that we can accept. And not because we're salty or anything. It's just that we like people who have freedom. Rules do not chain them down. They can abide by them, but it's not heavy weight, like it's not a burden. It's not mocking them in the face of success. People are very livid when Indigo's actions are carried out, not because not of good intent. It's almost something reminiscent of a chaotic good, which we can find in most of these Western societies of these days that carries indigo. So they're very indigenous. And you will know, indigo will know one when they see one. And if you're an expert or a professor, you too will know one. Especially after I'm done explaining, because I am one myself. Their friends are Angel, Crystal, and Rainbow. Sure, there might be more to this subject, but that's just being blatant at its best without being mean. And if I was some famous person and I was stuttering or making mistakes, surely there could be a meme. A lot of people say, like, some people say, don't look directly at the camera, or some people say, look directly at the camera. But usually I'm hearing, don't look directly at the camera. But for this, I kind of have to. I mean, it kind of like, I always feel like because I'm talking to the viewer, I can't look away because it seems like kind of disrespect, like when you're talking to face of someone. But later on, I've learned that you can talk to someone and move your face and body language doesn't necessarily have to be upfront eye-to-eye contact with someone. They take it as disrespect because they don't know what's up in here. But if you say, can you recite that for me? And they can recite it, then it's not out of disrespect. And I think if we catch someone doing that, we should formulate in such a way where it comes off without leaving a bad impression, right? And just to know how much that person is listening. So it's hell to raise an indigo, especially when your appearance that's not one yourself or not a star seed. It can be hell. They believe in reconstruction, but they don't believe that they're the ones set to do so. They believe that the pieces should be put in play and then we can formulate based on the pieces that were set, based on our mindset of how big corporations or big businesses should be run. We invest our time as we see fit. Hence why indigos are closely connected. If there was anything on the MBTI 16 personality, closely related to the ENTP. And maybe some INFJs could be something else, but ENTP for sure would have to be best related to Indigo. Not saying all ENTPs are, but you wouldn't be surprised if you find that, because not all of them could be relatable to an Indigo, because some personalities are more stricter than others. And Indigos don't run by that. It's just not in their nature. They're warriors, but they're warriors they rebel against hardcore traditional belief. It's not that we don't like it. It's just that we don't like what it brings. It's not a set of integers by itself. Rather, we don't like the other numbers that are on the scale. It just is not our forte, not our cup of tea. Because you say traditions and we say, oh, that's okay. Nothing wrong with that. Morals, that's good. But then the totality of all of it that we add up together, we recognize in the end that so much grounded in belief, especially ones that are not healthy. Because if they're healthy, then there's nothing wrong with it, to be honest. But then again, you have to say to yourself two things. Was the ones you had in place, were they necessary? Could you get rid of some of them to kind of free up yourself and make yourself more flexible? Number two is the ones that are not put in place, like especially if you had them that are not needed, would it make you more chained and locked up like an animal, like a bird in a cage? We're very uncanny. We get that. But that's what makes us an Indigo. We have the feeling that we're being watched, or we can sense. We have that interpersonal intelligence. And we have abilities. We all have different abilities. Some might be more on a higher frequency than regular people. And regular people can share this too as well, but we're speaking mainly Indigo here. And we didn't have to be warriors of society, but the fact that we are, maybe a different term would have been put in place if we weren't, but the fact that we are, this is our duty, and you can still realize it's still our duty because of how things are. So we were mainly put in here for that very reason. Our time that we live and spent on earth is not wasted. We were put in this set of situation for an appointed reason, and we must live out that reason for the next generation. So you can see how indigos are deeply profounded in morals, just not the BS that could be changed or it could be swayed by another person who sits in your chair. Right? Not the ones that are, we can understand if there's morals and laws put in place for a certain group of people for a certain time, but not one that could easily be swayed by new experiences or a different interpretation, but rather a universal law that could connect all things, all people, all manner together. We go more in depth on a deeper scale, on a more profound way of living, a better, healthier, and a more one that's more closest to Genesis. Have we been so dumbed down by and mutilated heavily by the things that are mundane and accepted as the norm? And I don't mean to shadow the norm in such a bad light, to give it a bad taste in his mouth, but if the norm is terrible, it's terrible. We don't have to Christmas tree it. We don't have to jump around the bush. You don't have to beat around it. Indigos love to play on words. That's what makes us who we are. We love to be that clever fox. We love to be that tricky person on Halloween that gives out candy. We love to be that. You're trying to deter us and deter us from what we are, just so you can have your little ideals or ideology of what you think we are. It's not going to run. Because let me tell you, when we're out of your sight, it's not the same. So it's not made on solid ground. The bucket can easily be spilled. You're not a fun person. I'm sorry. If that's who you really are, if you're trying to mask yourself, you are giving a really bad impression. Because I'd rather be a fun person and mask myself that way than be a rude person or an obnoxious person.